And that issue that really kind of, I think we can highlight here and take a look at that kind of still creates some kind of division between women and men and people who consider themselves feminists would be issues like abortion, which prior to 1973 was illegal in America and restricted by many of the states. So we're going to see divisions emerge, divisions that still exist. So just like the ERA is divided politically, we're also going to see issues like abortion divide us even still today. So what we end up seeing here is that many feminists in the 1950s and 60s and early 1970s look at this and say, well, female reproductive health is dominated by male doctors. The governments of our states and our country were dominated by men, and that these male doctors and these male lawyers and politicians have more influence over the bodies of women than women themselves, especially when it would come to issues like reproduction, which is a private choice. When and where you as a person, I as a person, anyone as a person chooses to have sex is a private choice. If I choose to have a child or not is a private choice. You can't force me to have a child. You can't force that on me. It's a private choice. And states were saying that they could interfere in when you want to have a child. So women will sue to get the right to abort a pregnancy, which most states in America at the time regulated. And that court case went up as Roe versus Wade is the name of the Supreme Court case. And it goes up and it... on Tuesday, January 23rd, 1973, or 28th, 1973, sorry. The day Lyndon Johnson dies, as a matter of fact, is the day the Supreme Court rules, and it says abortions will be legal within the first 3 months of pregnancy, the first trimester, the first 12 weeks, and that any state ban up until 10 weeks is illegal. And if you want to see here's the blown up version of that the Supreme Court will overrule all state laws that prohibit or restrict the right to obtain an abortion. That's every state law. And it's a big decision. It's not like it's a 5-4 split. It's a 7-2 split. 7 justices favor the split and 2 justices do not. Or the resolution and 2 justices do not. So what you see here is a serious win for feminists who say that they should have control over their body, that it should not be control given to a man. This is within our right to privacy, according to the Supreme Court. And you can understand how a number of people, women and men alike, are going to respond to this and join what we will see now called the right to life movement or the anti-abortion movement. And they're going to file charge after charge, court case after court case, law after law to try to restrict these enhanced abortion rights, trying to prevent these rights from being further enhanced for women. And it's going to take a long time for the Supreme Court to hear a court case which will allow a significant challenge to abortion. And that's going to come in this court case right here, and I'll circle it for you in green. Planned Parenthood versus Casey in 1992, and it was a state law that came out of Pennsylvania that said a couple of things. It said, for example, if you're under the age of 18, a girl would need her parents' permission to undergo this medical procedure because it can require anesthesia and there is some risk associated with it. And it could also require some states to allow a 24-hour waiting period, so that if you go in and you want an abortion, let's say you find out you're pregnant that day and you just want an abortion, it can enforce a 24-hour waiting period so that whoever wants the abortion has to spend at least 24 hours reflecting on the decision to have an abortion. So this is the court case in 1992 that allows restrictions on abortions, whether it would be abortions that cannot be performed after a fetus is viable, that it could survive outside the womb, or if it is within certain kinds of hospital settings, or if it is in, depending on your age, with parental consent, and a variety of other issues like that. But now we see this kind of seesaw battle fought in the Supreme Courts about what long-term we should see with Roe v. Wade and with abortion. And this is just one of the areas where feminists and those who don't support abortion are still fighting, still trying to figure out what it means to be a feminist, still trying to figure out what it means to support women's rights. The last one here is just really quick, this understanding of impact and what that looks like coming out of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, and that women are going to have more college degrees, they're going to get access to better jobs, you're going to work outside the home, you're going to see employers begin more flexible as we deal with women and with on and off hours, with childcare. But there are still problems, like this issue of whether or not we should or shouldn't have abortion, or should or shouldn't we not have an equal rights amendment, and also the issue of pay gap. There's still a disparity. Women are still paid less than men on average for the same job. In males' earnings for the same job on average, you can see it right there, and then right beneath it are the female wages for the same job on average. So we still have problems, we still have disparities, and we'll talk more about them in class when we get together again tomorrow.